So, tonight I want to talk about the fact that the American education system uses AP classes, and AP classes are advanced placement classes, to maintain control over parents and continue the teaching to the test method. So, first of all, I want to do a disclaimer. I've taken 5 AP classes. I passed all of them. I got A's and B's in all but one. This is not me being bitter towards AP classes. I had a good experience with most of my AP classes, and I did very well in them. So, it's not a I hate AP class live stream. What I'm going to say tonight is that with homeschooling parents, a lot of times parents who are homeschooling will build their own curriculum, or they will have a set curriculum that they use online, like K through 12, and then they'll supplement it with other curriculum that they find in books or other assignments they create that meet the standards of the state. They can do that with every type of class: history, English, math, science. The one thing they can't do that with are AP classes. AP classes allow students to get college credit if they pass the test at the end of the course. And if they pass this test, it allows them to sometimes skip an introductory course in college. Homeschooling parents have no option for that if they don't want to do AP tests. And that is how AP tests and the American education system maintain control over parents, because parents who are very into what type of curriculum their child is learning from, or want to make sure that their child is not learning things they don't want them to learn, have influence in every facet of their child's education except AP classes. There's no viable alternative for parents who don't want the College Board to teach their children. Parents can't go create classes that meet the same accreditation standards that can allow these children to skip introductory college courses. And this is on purpose, because if that could happen, the standardization of College Board, which is a group of people really that is former educators, teachers, people who have a lot of experience in educating children, these people would not be able to continue with this method of standardized learning. And what I mean by that is within AP courses, there's a reason why kids taking AP courses in Virginia and Portugal all pretty much are learning the same thing if it's AP Calc. It's because it's a standard curriculum. And at the end of these courses, there's a standard test. This method of teaching to the test is what AP teachers do throughout the entire year. It's what my teachers did. They have to teach to the test, first of all, because their kids, if they don't get high enough scores in the test, if they don't rank in a certain category, they might be looked at as less capable teachers. They may not get their accreditation renewed. That's the first part of it. But the second part of it is with this standardization way of learning, what happens is kids may do very well on the AP test. They may do very well when they're in high school, senior year, taking AP US history. But when they get to college, they're not going to do as well because it's not actually college level education that they're learning in high school. It is simply education that is a little more difficult and very rigorous in how it's taught. And this is on purpose because it sets up kids, it sets up students to be ready to learn in a specific way. And this is one of the issues with Common Core. There's not a lot of customization that's allowed to happen. So, what AP classes do with homeschooling parents is it puts them in a corner and it maintains control over parents in this country. Where if these parents are creating classes for their students and their children online and they're able to craft what they want them to learn in science and history and math, they're not able to do that in the AP classes. So, it creates a failsafe for the College Board for the American education system, where that these this big entity, the College Board, the American education system, will always have a window into your child's learning and will always be able to influence your child as long as they're taking AP courses. It makes it so that unless your child is not taking them, there will always be an influence from outside entities onto your child's learning process. And that's a really important thing because it's not as if, University of Virginia can say, well, if your student takes this kind of course and it's accredited. It's not like that. College Board decides. And College Board has no influence from parents. So, what that's really setting up is a bunch of teachers, very much like bureaucrats in Washington, deciding what they believe students should learn and not having the influence of parents who are actually there with their children, especially homeschooling parents. That's what it's set up to do. And I think it's a dangerous thing because even parents who want to remove their children from the education system, if their child wants to be competitive to get into Harvard or Yale or UCLA, you're going to need the AP test scores. You're going to need to have that on your transcript. So it means that students who are reaching the highest, students that want to take as much as they can in the education process to get into Ivy League schools, will never be able to just be taught by their parents or by an online education program as long as they have to take AP classes, which they do, in order to be viable in the admissions process. So I just wanted to talk about this because I think a lot of times we look at the education system when we think indoctrination, indoctrination, but in reality, what it comes down to is these little fail safes that are built into the education system so that even if you remove your child from it, if your child wants to be competitive in an admission process, which lots of homeschooled kids do, they still have to be influenced by outside educational boards like College Board. And these tests in the US, 1.24 million kids took them, I believe, last year, and that's actually 38% of the graduating class from last year within US high schools. So think about that. It's not a little fraction of people. And these tests cost, when I was in high school, about $70 each. You can get that waived sometimes, but think about a family who has 4 children in high school. It builds in so that the American education system and College Board is continuing to make money off of your child, even if they're in a public school, which is the situation where they shouldn't be making money. The American education system shouldn't be making money off of you, but yet they are because they're charging you to take a test that if you don't take, you don't get the opportunity to have college credit. So it's really an entire system built off of control of parents to know that if these parents try to educate their children, they will have to go back to AP tests if their child wants to be competitive in an Ivy League school or a top 10 school or anything other really than what they know they can get into with just honors classes. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like this, share this, retweet it, send it to a couple parents, watch it if you're a kid. I hope you all enjoy it. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and thank you for watching and share it.